Hi, welcome to First Editing. I'm Joellen, and today we'll be talking about indie publishing. So, while traditional publishing or self publishing are both very popular ways to have your story see the light of day, there's also another option you might not be so familiar with called indie publishing. So, what is it and how does it work? Well, indie publishing basically refers to any kind of independent publishing at small presses. It's a great option to become a published author without needing to query a lot of agents or pay for vanity press. And it also means you'll have a smaller team of people who put a lot of energy into your work. So, since there's a lot of large publishing companies that dominate the scene, such as the Big Five, indie publishers are essentially small publishing houses that often work in specific genres or niche markets. The benefit of working with an indie publisher is that authors generally have more freedom and they get to be involved in the editing and marketing process, including the cover art and the title. So, contrary to what you might think, indie publishers have also gathered a lot of success. Take Paul Harding's book Tinkers, for instance. It was published with the indie publisher Bellevue Literary Press and it won a Pulitzer Prize. So, what's the difference between indie publishing and self publishing? Well, self-publishing is what happens when the authors themselves are in charge of the publishing process. And while some writers write and edit their books incredibly well and get an amazing graphic designer and make an effort to market their book properly, this isn't always the case. So self-published authors don't have the skills or resources to create a high-quality final product, which unfortunately means there's now a stigma attached to self-published titles. And as a consequence, many authors have decided to rebrand themselves as independent authors or choose to get published with an independent publisher instead of going down the fully self published route. And while indie publishing may sound similar to self publishing, it's actually quite different because you essentially get to choose which aspects of your book will be taken care of by the publisher and which will be your responsibility. So you could decide to create your own website, for example, or contact someone who will design your cover. This way, you get to choose which aspects of the book's development and distribution will be done by whom, which might help you save a lot of money and have more control over the process. So, indie publishing also usually gives you the freedom to retain rights to your work, and it tends to come with better royalty rates. So, it's a great niche in between option. And if you do decide to be an indie author, here are a few steps to get you started and help you create an amazing book. First, identify realistic goals. This step requires you to ask yourself some very important questions. What's your goal? How much time do you have? Which talents do you bring to the table? And what is your budget? This is crucial because the publishing process may cost you more than you think and take longer than expected. So, authors usually tend to underestimate how much time it can take to prepare their manuscript and get it ready for publication, not to mention all the time and resources spent on marketing. So, do you try to find the best talent so that you can afford your book, such as a professional graphic designer for the cover and a professional editor? And these things really do make a difference in the large scheme of things. And remember, the more realistic you are when answering your questions, the better the final outcome will be. Step two is to assemble a good team. So, depending upon your skills, you might need editors to shape your work, designers to illustrate your cover, marketers to drive the sale of your work, and publicists to get the message out there. So, of course, many indie publishers already do work with professionals with this kind of experience. So, a quick Google search will usually help you find everything you need to know. And one thing to keep in mind is that you always aim to get and hire a professional editor. That's pretty much the key to the success of your work. If you don't want to work with the editor from your indie publishing house, you can hire a third party like First Editing. And finally, the third step is to develop a marketing strategy. So even if you do use the help of marketers and publicists, there's still a lot that you can do for yourself. For example, you can consider creating an author website, building your social media presence, and having an author's page on Amazon or other key websites. You could also write a newsletter or a blog. So, no matter if you choose to self publish, pursue indie publishing, or take the traditional route, getting a book into print is a huge undertaking. And the more time you spend planning, budgeting, revising, and preparing, the better your chances of having an amazing end product. And that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.